What's going on, guys? It's PokePond back with another video for you. Quite a lot to talk about today. We've got another new set that's coming out, and as always, we're going to be looking at price charting right across sealed products. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's get into it. Okay, so in the last couple of days, we've had the unveiling of yet another new set that's coming to the hobby. Who'd have seen that coming? This is going to be a Japanese set called Night Wanderer. We did sort of say a few months ago on the channel about Night Wanderer because they reserved the trademark. We didn't really know what it was going to look like at that time though, but we did have a suspicion that it was going to be a new Japanese set. This is probably going to become one of our sets in the August time, special set into English. Usually there's a special set just at the end of the summer, as I said, around about August time, and this is probably what it's going to be. It's going to be Night Wanderer into English. Night Wanderer is quite a small set, it's 64 cards. It's more of sort of like a lore set. There's a little bit of a story behind it, and yeah, it's quite interesting. It'd be interesting to see whether the full sort of set comes over as a specialty set, or whether we get this combined with another Japanese set yet to come out, which will become our specialty set or not. Yeah, as I said, it's quite a small set, so it'd be interesting to see whether it gets combined with another one or not. We can see a couple of the EXs here. A few of the cards, but nothing major, and a pretty interesting trainer card as well. But because this is going to be a specialty set in English, it's probably not going to be playable. So just something to bear in mind. We also got some figures out as well from Japan's sales for 2023, and things were really booming in Japan. You can see that they have converted the sales into US dollars, and you can see that Pokemon TCG outsold Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic combined, which is really quite impressive. It shows that you know, the Japanese Pokemon market is alive and well. It certainly was in 2023. We tend to get these earnings like a little bit later. So yeah, 2023 was a very good year for the Japanese card market. I would imagine Pokemon TCG is still on top if I had to guesstimate, but it's just great to be aware of these things in the hobby, especially when you're investing. So Pokemon Center UK has we're going to have a look at the stock levels. We've got Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Fusion Strike in stock still. These are probably good deals, and then everything else you can probably pick up cheaper elsewhere. I do think that Paldea Evolved, although you can pick it up cheaper elsewhere, I do think this is getting more and more of an attractive deal as time goes on. Paldea Evolved is one of those sets that's really growing on me, but the big two that are good deals at the moment on Pokemon Center UK for retail is Astral Radiance and Fusion Strike. In my opinion, I'm a little bit more leaning towards Fusion Strike as a good deal, and that's mainly because of the Espeon that you can get in that set. I think it's a beautiful card. I think it rivals the Moonbryon from Evolving Skies, and I do think it's still quite underpriced at the moment. They're currently selling on UK eBay for 251. That was the last sale a few days ago for the PSA 10, and to be honest, I don't think that that's too bad of a price. I think that's a bit underpriced for such a nice card. I could see some growth in it once Fusion Strike starts to get all bought up and you can stop buying it for retail. So I think that this is a really good deal. You know, 143, people are going to take the gamble on getting the PSA 10, and it sells for 251. I can see that this PSA 10 price card could push up the price of the booster box a little bit. Here's the Umbreon. It's interesting, like, because I don't really on the channel look at the price of like PSA 10s for the chase cards, but it is important to realise that the chase cards do influence the cost of the sealed booster box. It's not the be all and end all. There's other things that contribute to the cost of the sealed booster box, but it definitely does play its role and is an influence. You can see now that the last sale of the PSA 10 Umbreon Alt Art Rare from Evolving Skies recently just sold here for, there's one that sold for 985, and then on the same day as well someone paid 1110 including the postage, which is just crazy prices for this Umbreon. You know, this Espeon looks pretty cheap in comparison. But this is the chase card of basically Sword and Shield block, to be honest. It's super popular, but I think the Espeon's next to follow in its wake. The Umbreon's blazing a path for the Espeon, I think. Anyway, so I wanted to look at Pokemon Center US as well, because I saw some other Pokemon YouTubers make a comment this week that Lost Origin was in stock and has finally gone out of stock in the US. So I'd be interested to see what the price of the Lost Origin in the US does over the next couple of weeks. It's important, even when you're like in the EU markets and the UK market, to keep an eye on what's going on in America. I've had a few comments on the channel to say, oh, you know, you're British, why are you looking at the American stuff? And that's for two reasons, really. One, because some of my viewers are American, and two, because America is the largest market for English. And at the end of the day, we are all collecting English Pokemon cards, so it's important to see what the market's doing, even though we have different stock levels and different demand over here in the EU and the UK. It is still important to see what the hobby is doing as a whole. So let's get into some prices. So Fusion Strike has had a pretty stable week over the last few weeks, really, in the US markets. You're seeing them sell for around about $240, which is, let's see, we're probably looking at, yeah, a pretty stable week, to be honest, about the same price as last week for the American markets. We could obviously pick these up on Pokemon Center UK at the moment for retail for $143 and a little bit of change. So cheapest on eBay is $155, which makes sense. I do expect that once the retail price stock of Fusion Strike disappears, these will all get bought out pretty quick, and I could imagine the price jumping up to around about the 180 to 200 mark pretty quickly. Astral Radiance again has had a fairly stable week with a little bit of a gain. We're looking at last week around about 170 mark, and they're now going for about 184 in the US. So a few percentage gain there. The cheapest one you can get on eBay at the moment is $142.99, and that's buy it now. As you might be able to get a cheaper one on auction, but that's a nice sealed one with photos. For that price, I would probably just buy from Pokemon Center, and it's only what 50p more from Pokemon Center. But again, once Pokemon Center starts to dry out, I would imagine these will all get bought out pretty quickly, and then we're going to see a pretty nice price jump on Astral Radiance and Fusion Strike over the next 6 months to a year. You can still buy into Astral Radiance with these little half booster boxes, pretty cheap. You know, you get an 18 pack sealed for 62. If you double that for the booster box price, you're talking about 126 ish. So that they are actually quite a cheap way to buy into the product. They are an EU exclusive at the moment. Chilling Reign, we need to talk about Chilling Reign. So I think some people were a little bit upset on my last video because I made the recommendation that Chilling Reign had a small restock on Pokemon Center UK, and it was just crazy price. It was £143 retail, and I said, that's absolutely ridiculous. You can literally buy it right now from Pokemon Center and sell it for a £40-50 profit, and that's after fees, straight onto eBay without waiting at all. And as soon as I put the video up, Pokemon Center sold out within 1 hour and 45 minutes, so I'm sure a lot of you guys jumped on it. And unfortunately for some people who came a bit later to the video, even sort of like 2 hours after my upload, they were like, oh, it's not in stock on UK. Well, I'm sorry, you missed the boat. People just jumped on it straight away and bought all of it out. When it's a crazy deal like that, you've just got to jump on it straight away. Please do bear that in mind. I do tend to record my videos on the same day as posting, so I mean, it's 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning right now. This video will probably get uploaded by about 12 o'clock today, so prices and stock levels are as of the same morning as upload generally. Things obviously can sell out quickly though, so I just wanted to give that disclaimer. And yeah, as you can see, so you could I made the recommendation last week that you can pick these up for £143. You guys jumped on it, and you can see the cheapest on eBay now is 219. So even after fees, you're probably making what, 40, 50 quid easy, quick flip. eBay's, I found this funny, eBay's even highlighting this. Look, great price, £219. Well, if you'd jumped on it last week, it was 143. So that's why you subscribe to the channel, guys. Never miss an opportunity. I will always recommend plays when I see it. Even though I don't condone scalping and just like selling it straight away, I would always recommend buying and holding it for a year or two. You know, I will still recommend these plays to you as and when I see them. And they are selling. I found this quite funny. So last couple of days you're seeing a lot of best offer accepted. I'm not surprised, people putting them on for 200. This was probably someone who picked it up from Pokemon Center for 143, so I'm not surprised they took a best offer for 200. They still probably made a pretty nice profit on that and a real quick flip. I mean, they basically waited 6 days and made, you know, 40, 50 quid. Fair play to them. It's all part of the game. Here's another one. Someone put it up for 300. You're crazy. If this is one of my viewers, like, okay, credit to you. You obviously took a best offer on it. You're not going to get 300 for it, but I respect the hustle. I respect the grind. Evolving Skies. Let's move on now. Very flat week last few weeks in the US markets. Really, really positive to see. It's great to see prices stabilize and not retrace back. It just means that things are super healthy and people are accepting that price point around about $700 in the US, and in the UK markets you can pick them up for around about 600 quid. A little bit more on that one, but yeah, 600 seems to be the agreed price for now. I can imagine that things will stay stable for a little while. We may see a couple of percentage gains over the next month or two, but I do think it's still got quite a lot of room to grow. I could easily see this to a £1,200 box pretty soon within the year, and then onwards up to a 2k box, definitely. You can see that they are actually selling for the 600 range. Don't know why my mouse is highlighting like that. Yeah, 600 range for the last couple of days. So you can see one selling here for 590 just yesterday. As I said, that's about the agreed price for a minty one with photos on a buy it now. Brilliant Stars had a bit of a rise, which is super nice to see on the US markets. We're seeing a rise from around about $170, and they're now selling for around about $185. So that's around about a $15 rise. Let's just calculate that one out. 15. Oh, sorry. I'm messing up my calculator. 15 divided by, what was it? 170. We're seeing about an 8.8% rise on Brilliant Stars in the US market. Really, really positive. I didn't expect it to go up that much this week, but it's really positive to see. I hold quite a lot of Brilliant Stars. I've said to you guys that I think that Brilliant Stars and Silver Tempest are going to be the next ones to go up in price and follow the wave behind the rest of the Sword and Shield sets, like Lost Origin, Fusion Strike, Astral Radiance, etc. I think it's next to go. I really do. The fact that you can still buy into it retail in some places is probably going to be your last opportunity to do so. I think that once that dries up, it's not really going to get reprinted again. The reason why you can pick these up and the price hasn't gone up that much yet is because they did have quite massive reprints not too long ago, and that stock's still just working its way through the market. As soon as that dries up though, I think we're really going to start to see these positive uptrends for these sets. I really like Brilliant Stars and Silver Tempest. Obviously Brilliant Stars has the big Charizard alt art chase, and Silver Tempest has the Lugia chase. I really like both of those cards. You can pick them up on eBay. Last sold was 135 and some postage. You can get these for retail as well from reputable sellers if you don't want to go through eBay. American markets on Silver Tempest as well. We're seeing basically pretty stable. I know we're seeing a little bit of a rise last week, but it had a little bit of a dip as well. If you look at the average trend, things are pretty stable on Silver Tempest in the American market. That's because Silver Tempest is still available on the US Pokemon Center. There's still stock about. The cheapest you can pick it up on eBay UK, buy it now at the moment, is 140. As I said, that's around about retail price. That does look like quite a nice minty one, and eBay's doing a great job at highlighting that that is a great price. Well done, eBay. Lost Origin at the moment has seen another little rise this week, which is again great to see. A lot of people were commenting last week on the US markets that Lost Origin has just gone out of stock on the US Pokemon Center. That's probably why we're seeing a little bit of a rise. They're selling for around about $205 to $200 on the US markets. I could see that rising a little bit, but obviously it's got less room to grow than some of these other sets that still haven't really taken off yet. And yeah, I don't think it's a bad set. I'm not a huge fan of Lost Origin myself. I'll give my own opinions on it. I know a lot of people love the set. Obviously, you've got the Giratina Alt Art card. It just doesn't do it for me, personally. Please don't get upset by those comments. You know, we've all got our own opinions on sets, what we like, what we don't like. I'm not saying it's a bad set. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I'm just not a huge fan of Lost Origin, but it is a healthy set and there's a lot of demand for it, so if you're into it, then fair play. It's probably one of the only sets of the late Sword and Shield era that I'm not invested into, and it's important for me to say that you don't have to be into everything. Like, you don't need one of everything, you don't need to FOMO into stuff, just pick the stuff you like. I think it's important to realize as well, I've touched on this a little bit on the channel, that there's sort of like two ways to approach sealed investing, and I was about to say sealed collecting, but here's the thing that you need to distinguish between it. Are you collecting them, or are you investing in them, or are you doing both? And for me, it's definitely both. Like, I'm not always gonna buy really heavily into a set just because I can see potential profit in it. I actually get a nice feeling about collecting the things that I enjoy, and I enjoy having them in my collection. Whether or not they go up in price or not is a bonus, but first of all, I am a collector, not an investor. So it's important for you to realize that, what you are. When I first started my journey into collecting sealed stuff, I definitely thought I was just doing it for the investment purposes. And then as I've been doing it for many years now, I've started to realize that I was in denial, and really I am just a collector, because I will favor buying sets that I enjoy. For example, if Lost Origin was available at retail right now, that would be a really good thing to buy into. Like, there's a lot of room for it to grow. However, I probably wouldn't. I would probably prefer instead to go into like Fusion Strike or Astral Radiance, just because I prefer those sets personally. Anyway, back on track. Sorry, tangent. Cheapest you can get Lost Origin at the moment is £200 on eBay now, pushing the £200 mark. Again, you just can't pick these up for retail anywhere anymore, so you're seeing that big boost in price over here in the UK, and they are actually selling for that price as well. Best offer accepted, $199. You can see one sell for $199 and a little bit of postage there as well. I thought it would be nice to end the episode by looking at a few speciality sets. I don't know why I couldn't say that word. I don't tend to look at special sets. I tend to just focus on mainline sets. The reason why is because you can't get sealed booster boxes. I am, however, invested into these, and I've got a cupboard full of Elite Trainer boxes from past ventures. And I just think it's nice to once in a while just look at what the prices are doing on these, because I don't often check them, and I probably should, considering I've got quite a few of them. So Celebrations is around about, well, there's one here for 65, basically 70 with postage, but no photo, so you're taking a risk on condition. The cheapest buy it now one is actually creeping up to 80 quid now. And I just thought that was quite interesting to see. I don't think it's grown at a massive rate, but I do think these are quite cool, and I do think they will do well long term. As I said, I do have a few in my collection. Just interesting to see, and they are selling for around about that mark as well. 75 best offer was accepted. 75 was a sale there. I'm not too into the Pokemon Center alternatives just because they're more money. You don't actually get more bang for your buck. You're just paying for the fact that it's like more limited. Yes, you get a few more booster packs in, and on some Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes you get stamped cards and stuff, but I don't think you do with the Celebrations one, and I'd rather just get the cheaper one personally. Unless it's for a display, and again, this is what I was touching on with like the whole, are you a collector or an investor? Maybe you want to get the Pokemon Center versions just because you prefer the artwork for displaying it, or it's because it's more prestigious. Thought it was interesting to look at Shining Fates. Shining Fates is always a good lesson to me about not to FOMO into stuff, because when Shining Fates came out, you need to understand that we were in the middle of COVID pandemic, and Shining Fates was like the hot thing when it came out. I remember when the first wave of Shining Fates came out, there wasn't much of it around. The hobby was really, really booming. It was at the time where loads of streamers were opening up Pokemon cards. There was so much hype around it, and you really struggled to get your hands on Shining Fates during the first wave of release for anywhere near retail. And I actually bought into some of these for £60. I've got sealed Shining Fates Elite Trainer boxes in my cupboard that I paid £60 into. It's going to take a long time before I'm in profit with these, and the reason why is because they just got reprint after reprint after reprint after reprint on these. What started off as a really quite exclusive product just got absolutely destroyed by reprints, and it's a reminder to me. I keep them in my collection to remind me that don't FOMO into things. Do you know what I mean? Buy into things when they are a couple of years old and you can pick them up for nearly retail, you know, as you're getting to the end of the reprint windows, because you might just get destroyed, because you can still pick these up for well below retail now, almost half of what I paid for one on release. So just something to bear in mind. I wanted to look at Champion's Path as well, because that's another special set, and yeah, it's not climbing at a massive rate, but it is definitely creeping up there. We're over retail on Champion's Path, and I'm not saying this is a great investment to have, but from a collection point of view, I don't think you're ever going to get these much cheaper. I do think that they will climb up in price, and very slowly over time. I think your money's better suited in sealed booster boxes. However, as a display piece or a collection piece, I think these are pretty cool, and I don't think you're ever going to get them any cheaper than this again. I do have some in my collection. I think they're very cool. It's kind of like the accepted price that they're around about 70 quid, and yeah, I like them. Anyway guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. The takeaway from this video basically is I think there's a lot more room for Fusion Strike to grow. I think that this is still crazy that you can pick up Fusion Strike and Astral Radiance for retail. This is where I would park my money at the moment if I was going to buy something today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and peace.